This is the Koei PasoGo. It's a console you may be familiar with if you've watched this channel in the past and following the channel, because I have made a couple of videos with this before. It's a console made by Koei. It's PasoGo because it's a personal Go console, so it's only intended for these cartridges that are different variations of the game Go. This one is obviously quite damaged. It wasn't a very successful console either for a few reasons. A big issue why this console was not very successful is because one, it came out in 1996, I believe. It was only a black and white console, and obviously it's competing then mainly with the Game Boy. The Game Boy was cheaper than this, and it had many more games, and you could even get Go games on the Game Boy, whereas this one you could only play version on Go, so you'd end up spending more money for a console that could do less. Whereas if you just got a Game Boy, even though it does have a much smaller screen, you could just play on that. Then you could also play any other game, any of the popular games. They were just one particular board game. Of course, then at that point, it was only shortly before the Game Boy Color release, and if you got one that waited for one of those to come out, obviously at that point, no one would have any reason to buy this because you'd get much more sophisticated advanced console, with much better games, and also the entire Game Boy library. So this one doesn't work. I'm not going to try putting batteries in at the moment because I already know it doesn't work. Also, the power 6 volt, I'm not exactly sure about that, because it does a 6 volt, but doesn't tell me the polarity, so I don't want to accidentally put the wrong polarity and end up breaking it. I only have this one cartridge as well, so I have to hope this game works. I'm just obviously trying to fix it, but I don't have any other games to test it with. I got this console on Yahoo Auctions Japan. It was 300 yen, like this. Obviously shipping was more expensive. And then I also had to get it shipped internationally, so of course that's very expensive. We'll call it 300 yen, but it's obviously much more when you include shipping. This one is, quite damaged. It looks like the polarizer film's all sort of degraded. This is very common in other consoles with their screens. Once the polarizer starts going, probably been left in the heat. Could be some other damage as well here. There also seems to be some liquid there, and once I had the cartridge out, you can see there's some sort of blue gunk there, so maybe some battery acids leaked out as well. I'm just going to try opening that. It's a bit difficult to get out. There's some liquid there. Yeah, these are very rusty and corroded. So obviously something's happened in there. And again, there's more liquid on the bottom of this. I'm going to see if I can open this up and we can try to figure out what exactly is wrong with it. These just need a long screwdriver for those. This is a much smaller bit, but hopefully it should work as well. Looks like there's only 4 screws to hold this in. Let's take it apart. At the end, we can probably open this one up and have a look inside as well. It looks like it uses the same bits as the Game Boy cartridges. Looks like it's about the right size, the screwdriver for this as well. And it's just screwed straight into the plastic. Three screws. I guess that one just still stuck in there for now. This is what it looks like under the thing, and there's the actual device. So we'll undo this and we have a look inside the game cartridge as well. It's about the same size as a Game Boy cartridge as well. How do we get this one open? Okay, so this sort of pops open. It's got a battery in there, so it does have a save battery. Doesn't look too bad, pretty good condition. Just a battery on the back. A brand on the battery, Toshiba, looks like. Got some ROM chips, probably a controller or something. I'm not exactly sure the breakdown of this is. Let's just put that back together for now. And we can get back to our console as soon as we screw this back together. See if we can actually get this screw out, that way we can keep them all together. Doesn't seem to want to. Oh, there we go. That one's a bit rusted. I mean, that's why it was still stuck in there. So the actual plastic cut protection in front of it is very thick, a few mils thick there. It's got a solid piece of perspex. Ooh, that looks like that's a clip or something there that's broken. Put that back on there. So here's the buttons on there. They don't like the just dome buttons, like actual individual components that have been soldered on. It's the on and off switch. There's a lot of little capacitors, that's the word, on the outside, and it's a big solid thick display module. So there's some screws over this side that we will undo. And try to take this screen off. Hopefully it does work and there's no corrosion that's gone to the actual components, and it's just an issue connecting the battery or the power source. There's a ribbon cable, so we'll move this out of the way. So that all does look, I was saying it does look good, but there's a bit of corrosion here, which is not very good. Also, look at the way they've attached the metal that goes around the actual display onto this board is by having these metal pieces that is bent over. So hopefully we can clean that up, or if it isn't an issue, we can just leave it there. I wonder what these contact points here are for, those for testing, because they don't seem to have anything that they touch that's corresponding on here. So here's the cartridge, here's the actual CPU. That's a capacitor. Seems to, has it gone bad? That's weird where this, all this fiber stuff in the tape. But I think that looks like it's still alright. There's a wire here that's come off something. I think it's off from there. Yeah, I think that's the only thing that's missing at the moment. So one side goes to this capacitor, and the other side goes with some more liquid. Yeah, that's obviously there has been. That's what got from the battery. So screw it straight through. And whereabouts was the power jack in this? 6 volts here. Is it? Not sure if it's labelled. Maybe we can connect power to there instead. If it is, I do have this module, which I'm not sure how well that actually works. We could try. Otherwise, we'd have to clean all this up and try see if we can fix that. Obviously, if it's corrosion, it's not going to make good contact with any batteries. So I think the best chance is to have a look at this and see if there's a way to just power it from this. Definitely have to unscrew this just so we can at least have a look under it to see where the wires connect. That one's very rusty as well. Actually, a few screws on this PCB. All on one side. Looks like 1, 2, 3 there, and there's the 4th in that corner. Hopefully there's not too much damage under here. Is there another screw somewhere? Oh, there's also this wire here that they sort of looped around here. Oh, there's another screw here. Is that wire that isn't coming out? Just want to see where that red wire connects. Oh, there we go. We're gonna have to also disconnect this. That's not sitting in it very well. Well, that wire's come off completely then from both ends. There's a lot of corrosion on the traces here. Seems to have followed the traces. I'm not sure whether those are still any good. Seems to be some peeling on the solder mask there. So that's going to might be a bit of a problem. It might have eaten through all those traces. So first we need to try to figure out where the power actually goes to. So the power here goes to two places. One to over here, then one to the capacitor on the other side. As for this red wire, and that PCB there is very bad. It's peeling up in quite a lot of places. So I'm going to take a guess that based on the length of this wire and also the fact that there's a bit more stuff on that solder point there, that at some point was connected to there. So one up to here, then the other down there. It is again quite corroded, so it's unlikely that's going to just work as expected. I think what I might try to figure out where that goes to. It's really hard to follow as well as corrosion. Obviously, like these solder points go to these ones, and those ones are the three on there. I don't see additional ones for that one. There's only three here, unless that's through to the other side of the board. It is. It goes directly to the capacitor here, which means I should be able to connect the positive directly to that lead there. Oh, that wire's just come off as well. And the negative goes to this. That seems a bit unusual. Have to be something else that connects to. Okay, then just one end goes to the capacitor, then the other end also goes to the capacitor, and then at that point you're just charging the capacitor. Unless there's somewhere else that this also connects to. So with a bit of multimeter action, trying to figure out where things connect, the center pin, so which is positive, connects to this pin here, which we can follow through all the way to the second pin here, which also luckily I've checked from this side to that side. There is still continuity even though the PCB is completely destroyed. And the negative, which goes to the negative of the batteries here, then also goes to that capacitor. So I think if I wire up my negative to the capacitors and my positive, the capacitor and the positive to here, or potentially maybe even here if I can manage to get it, even though there's a bit of corrosion, in theory it should receive power. Of course, I'm still pretty concerned about all of this corrosion on these traces. Not sure how much is left, but it's enough to actually run the system, but that's what we'll see if we can get working. So I've got some wires ready. It's a pretty thin gauge of wire, but hopefully that's good enough. So the points I'll be connecting to, first the black one, just to this lead here. Again, there's a little corrosion, so I'm not sure how much this is actually going to work, but I sort of just hope it will. And then the other one will be to the other side, either the center pin where that connects, if I can get a good connection there, although again, corrosion not bad, otherwise I'll follow that pin and try to connect on the other side there. So let's start with the black wire. So we're going to start by putting some solder on here. Not sure how well the adhesion is going to be. Well, clearly not well. That was just falling straight off. It doesn't seem to want to stick at all. So if that's the case, we might have to go to a plan B. See if we can still attach our wire to this side. That doesn't seem to want to stick either. It's a shame these points up here aren't any use. Actually, if these points also connect, that also means one of these yellow wires could work as well. So if we can't get this to stick, we'll investigate that. I think we'll have to investigate that as well. So I followed it around, and I think what's on this back of the side, to remove that connector by the way, what is the center one here to there, then connects to the second one here, which is then this one I've marked with blue here, which goes directly to the switch. So I think we can probably bypass and solder our red wire for positive directly to the back of that switch. There's a lot of screws in this whole board here. 6 total, that's a tiny board. It looks like this also goes to this connector here, so the other side also connects to here. So it looks like all the power goes to this board, so hopefully we can just use this to connect to our power, but hopefully it is actually labeled, so I'm not 100% sure which from that one actually goes into here, whether it's maybe the red one. I'm not 100% sure. Actually, there's a red one there as well. Yeah, hopefully they have just labeled it plus and minus for us. Okay, so we have those two come in, and they connect to nothing. There's our out. Looks like there, so that's just the other side. More corrosion there, which isn't a very good sign. Switch 5 and 6. I wish we could have just connected it straight to here. Also, it looks like maybe there's no continuity over this corrosion there either. I could also just try connecting something random and hoping for the best, but I don't really want to risk that. So I think if I connect my positive to that side, and then the negative, but still not exactly sure where that's supposed to end up. You can try to figure out, because there is nothing labeled. Do a LED thing there. Maybe we could trace that back. If maybe it's supposed to be a power LED, we can figure out the connection from that. Unless, I think something I've just realized is if a positive goes to there, a negative in theory, assuming it's working at a positive voltage, should just be the same as the ground, shouldn't it? Because DC. So I could try using that ground point there, connect the negative there, the positive, and hoping to see if that works. I think I might be what I might end up doing. So let's start. I'm going to try to tin the ground point here first. That's a lot of flux. Okay, maybe that one's not working on, so let's maybe just try this one first. So we'll get our red wire. So I don't know what happened to my soldering skills, but that one is now connected. That one isn't connected quite because I couldn't get it to actually for the solder to actually stick, but at least we've got one wire, so we're going to sort of hope we can manage it somehow. Let's reassemble this. Let's flip this over. Yeah, that's already out. Let's connect the screen. There we go. So one wire. Checking connector here, and the ground one, we can still hopefully find a ground on this side. I could just connect to one of these points here, which seem to be on the ground plane. Let's just undo this for now. Place of positive goes to here. Let's tighten this up. And we'll tighten this negative one in place as well. We'll flick that switch. I think that should be the way this makes it on. We'll put a cartridge in as well. Is this the right way? No, that's not the right way. We'll connect this in and see if maybe we can touch this to one of those ground points here to work. That doesn't seem to be working. Could be an issue with these wires, or could be all this closure on here. Normally this would read the current if it's actually connected, but it doesn't seem to be. It's 0 for current. So I have to assume one of these traces is bad, or otherwise I'm not connecting it properly. So it doesn't seem to be working. That's a bit of an unfortunate. I was planning on, if I could get it to work, to try to replace the polarizing filter. But it doesn't seem like it's going to be possible. If you've had any experience with one of these or have your own, any tips would be much appreciated. But that's it for this video. Unfortunately, I was able to fix it, but that's the way it sometimes goes. So like the video if you liked it. Don't forget to comment down below your thoughts, ideas for future videos, and subscribe so you see videos like this in the future.